Yep. Any second now, the technical crew on this podcast is going to get their crap together. Actually get started on time one of these times. Can't do the write-ups correctly. Can't work the technical equipment correctly. I don't even know if my mic's working. Can I hear anything? I hope. Petro, are you there?
I'm here, Steve. I'm here, Steve.
There you go. Are the levels okay?
Come on, buddy. Sounds good to me.
Producer
coming back at me, but that's
there you go. That's part of
the usual MO. Why would today be any different than all the others, right?
Is there anything there?
Nope, not anymore, Steve.
Well, I actually turned it up, but not anymore. We think. Sometimes StreamYard just does what it wants. That's our service.
I think it's actually pretty good service.
I actually like it. Are you cool with us doing this podcast, and basically in the parking lot of Allegiant Stadium?
Sure.
Okay. For now. We like to change things up.
It is like I was trying to figure out because like where I sit and positioning, I have my laptop. It sits on a little stand, and so like for a second there, I thought like there's a mirror right next to like right that way, that way.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I go too far, you start to see, and like it looks annoying that you can see the screen. So I try to just frame out, but then I thought that was the mirror, so it creates a little problem there. Here in my AAA home studio,
yep.
The Amazon table, built with my own hands.
I had some jabroni come in last night. Every once in a while, we get stragglers who come in on Twitch, like a random search. Which, by the way, we'd like more of those. But on YouTube,
what a way to sell it.
Yeah, I wasn't really turning down people, but if you want to come, well, the person came in and they were very probing. They like Dave because Dave always has the big giant sunglasses on. Dave Koken has, and one of his eyes is jacked up, so I just always try to explain. I'm like, hey, he's got a bad eye. Relax. He's got the
polite way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, he's he wears the big sunglasses. That's his style. But someone the other day was like, "Are you getting tired holding that microphone?" Like, not really. No, I'm not holding it freely. I've got an armrest here. Could I hold this for an hour and a half? There's no way. Physically, I could not do that.
What do you consider one of the great athletes of our time? The incredible human endurance that I'm witnessing here.
I will say,
really holding a microphone for well over an hour.
I will put my show endurance up with anyone in the country, especially of my girth, my size, because when I get a chance to stand for the entire show, I will do it. And it hit me today that I haven't been doing that. Because we've been doing a lot of sitting, where you're at home. I do some shows from home. I do a lot of shows on the road at like TI and Silver Sevens. And today was the first day we went into our Battleborn broadcast studios. Justin Watkins, our buddy, built out some studios for podcast and for us to use. He's a glorious man. And we had some nice new mic stands. And I was like, God damn, I can stand up the whole show. And man, I got to the end and I looked over at Adam Hill and I was like, I'm kind of tired. Like, what happened?
And I'm spent.
That's terrible.
It's tough, man. That's an impressive endurance. Not me. I'm seated. Got my back pillow for extra lumbar support.
I am not uncomfortable at all being on this list. I agree. Phelps, 7 gold medals, 1980 U.S. hockey team, Cofield holding a mic.
Yeah, it is quite the feat of strength.
Oh no, we got someone coming over the top, a swim guy. 8 gold medals. Come on, Brady.
Yeah,
you're the assistant producer. Actually, you're the producer on this one.
Was it God, who had 7? What was his name in the 76?
Mark Spitz.
Mark Spitz. Thank you. Dynamic personality, Mark Spitz. Those swimmers all are dynamic personalities.
Yeah, Mental health issues for both Spitz and for Phelps.
Well, I'm not trying to make light of that. I'm just saying, like, personality wise, like Joe Montana was terrible on TV.
Probably mental health issues. By the way, I did exactly what people will do to me sometimes. I got you in a corner. I have no idea if Mark Spitz. First of all, I don't know if he's alive. Secondly, I have no idea if he had mental health issues. So
really, just thought you'd throw it out there to back me off.
A little bit. Well,
I appreciate that.
Matt Biondi had 11. Is that right?
Matt Biondi was
he a good interview, Petro?
Well, first of all,
talk to every Olympian I'm going to mention.
Phelps had like 25. If we're going with total, he had 8 in one Olympics, people. Matt Biondi, what was Matt Biondi? Was he a swimmer too? He was a swimmer as well, right? Yeah.
Another like 6'5" guy.
Did he storm the Capitol?
No, that was not him.
No? Okay.
No, that was a different guy.
Didn't know.
Now we're saying all swimmers have mental health issues. Not funny. And
I didn't make light of mental health. I asked if he stormed the Capitol.
They all stormed the Capitol. Matt Biondi,
the whole swim team. They're in Speedos.
6'7", 209. Yes, they all. Oh no, is this what he advertises? Wait, is this who he endorses? Mark Spitz has AFib, high cholesterol, chronic health issues, according to a quick Google.
So why did he spend all that time in the pool? Because he sounds like you and I, and not a lap swam. Not a lap swam. And here we are all caught up. What's that shit all about? Why was he wasting all that time working out?
Yep, didn't work out for him, did it?
Well.
Now he's also like 75 and he's alive, so.
Is he really?
I don't know. Now I have to do a Google for Spitz. Definite big mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely a kind of a thin Ron Jeremy look.
A glorious head of hair.
He is he's 70. He's going on 71. But he has a good head of hair. You know what's crazy? He was not while these other guys are like condors, like freakishly large with mega reach. Like I just said, Biondi's 6'7". Mark Spitz only 6 foot 181. Michael Phelps 6'5".
I thought Phelps was like 6'6" or 6'7", and it was like he had like the incredible wingspan, but then he's like the perfectly proportioned swimmer. Like his legs, he had the legs of like a 5'8" guy, but then his trunk and wingspan were like a 7-footer, which actually makes him a very odd individual, but perfect for swimming. It was like the perfect. I'm serious. Like if you look at him, he has these ridiculously short legs for the overall length of his body.
Oh yeah,
you heard him discussing it.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Do you have
like if you like? I was talking to one of the guys who here in town that was on American Ninja Warrior, right? You know that show?
Yeah, of course.
It involves a lot of climbing, and he referred to his own ape index.
Oh wow!
And it's like has to do with your hand, your size of your hands, the length of your arms, versus the overall size of your body. And how it's very sure. He was blessed with a high ape index.
Do you know?
Every sport has its own perfect physique.
I get it. Yeah, that is kind of interesting.
You and I, perfect radio physique.
It's a good point. Yeah, real good point.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been intrigued by the combine and the measurables and tried to like measure the staff? It sounds creepy, but
we did a couple of things to try to back in the day when you think you still have some athleticism.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's go do it. Let's see how many times we can do 2 1/4 and, rep out the bench and you go do it. And then you realize not that we need a reminder. If anyone's covered sports, you understand that it is a different species of human being.
Oh, we need a reminder. We need a reminder. There are people all over sports radio and listeners who are like, oh, really? Oh, only a 31-inch vertical, huh? Like, dude, you can't jump over a fucking phone book. Your vertical's 13. Like, only 11 reps on the bench. Yeah, 225 pounds. Go ahead and try and do it.
Oh,
some guys out there pumping it up 27 times.
98% of the people that listen to sports talk radio couldn't do 1 rep.
Now,
and if I'm wrong, I'm off by 3%.
God, I'm intrigued by. I always get fascinated because we've done the hand measurement, right? Because it's such a phony indicator on the.
It is because you can also cheat it. Like all this, like I have tiny hands, and they measure from this to this, and if you smash it out, you can claim that your hands are bigger.
Look, the measurement is across the hand. It's this to this.
Yeah, but then what you can do is if you smash your hand down, you can it's ridiculous.
Can you do that?
Can I do that?
I can have my pinky basically in a straight line with my thumb. That's the
congratulations.
But that's why the quarterback thing. I mean, listen, Trevor Lawrence has massive hands. Kawhi Leonard has massive hands. But you can cheat it a little bit. This doesn't mean I can hold a goddamn NFL football because I've got a fat palm and my thumb and my pinky will line up straight.
Yeah, but it's also when they measure it, the hand is not fully. Like I said, you push it down. Yep. People always so I've got this. No, you don't. Just stop. Like you've met Mike Tyson. Like you understand why people go to sleep when he hits him. He's got hands of like a 7-footer. Like it's massive hands.
Yep.
That thrown at a high velocity. It's like a club at the end of it. Like it's all boxers like that. Their hands are always large for their size, and that's why they put people to sleep. It's physics.
We had a comment about pants earlier. I want to get to that. You mentioned the swimmers had what? Long torsos, like kind of long upper bodies and short legs?
Shorter legs, and then longer upper bodies with a long wingspan. Where
do you fall in? Are you like average, or do you have like really squatty legs?
I qualify under round, and so like distinguishing the actual physique is long since gone.
Like, would it shock you that my pants measurement is now 40-26? Not easy to find. I love that. But I love the opposite too, though. I love you go shopping for pants when you're a big fella, kind of rotund, and you're like, okay, who's got the 32-36 or 30-36?
Yeah. Oh God, like you pull that off the rack, you're like, who is this jackass? Like, just calm down, asshole. Go have a pizza. 32-36.
Great, built like Mr. Potato Head.
Never had at my very best. I don't think that the waist was ever smaller than the length. That's just bullshit. And if you are that guy, fuck off. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and the big hands thing from Shallow Hal when Hal was grabbing, who was it, Tony Robbins, his hands? And he's like, you got banana hands over here.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Market LV says, saw an article not long ago about how hockey players have the damnedest time finding jeans that fit. So what's their problem? Like their legs are mega?
Like probably, yeah, like the glutes, hamstring,
super muscle
is overly developed or something, I would guess, maybe. I don't know, maybe calves from the skating? Busting out with the calves. Everybody's got to wear these goddamn skinny jeans these days.
This is a good point. Was this mean when Sears had the tough skins?
Tough skin. I almost was gonna quote you on that. So your tough skin husky size.
Is there still a husky size, or did the PC police come in and go, come on, that's kind of mean?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's good. You're husky. Like, no, like, oh no. You mean fat ass? Like that's just another term for fat ass. Like as a kid, you had to be. I know what you're saying.
It was actually nice. Think about it, Brady. It was actually nice. It was masking what people really wanted to say.
That's right. But
absolutely, I was a little husky. You got a little husky.
You're husky. You're husky. Which morphed later to big boned. You're big boned. Shut up.
I do like this one because this is very accurate. I shop at the big and getting bigger section, so hopefully your clothes are a bit stretchy. Like this will not be my size forever. So please,
I like Brady's. Put Brady's up there. That's where it is now. Hey yo, I'm looking for the. Oh yeah, there you go, Tubby. It's right down here. I like it. Yeah, that's nice.
Matt says my mom always tried to make me feel better by calling me husky. Well, I can see from your picture if that's accurate. You thinned out, bro. It all worked out.
The eyebrows tell it all, man.
Whatever. I'm a nightmare.
I got your back, Matt. You're good. You're good.
And then the dreaded husky corduroys. Is there any chance that the inside of the legs, the thighs, are going to have the ribbed texture for much longer than a month or two when you just kind of scrape them away by scraping your legs together? Oh boy.
Who thought corduroys were a good idea? Like what acid trip created corduroy pants?
I actually, you know what? They came back for like a couple of years. I actually bought some. I'm looking in my closet. They ain't in there. They're over here in the garage. So I still have them. They're going to come back again.
Are they next to the brand new computer that hasn't been opened in 2 years, or by the 400,000 feet of Christmas lights that aren't going up?
Well, the lights go up.
Piece of shit.
The lights go up. They're actually by the
polo. I love that.
They're actually by the polo shirt that I played golf in '92.
Good, I like that.
Wait, where is it? I'm missing stuff. I'm missing the whole show in the chat room.
The chub rub, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, the chub rub. Yeah, there's.
That's awesome.
Yep. You can start a fire with the corduroys.
The chub rub is funny on like 9 levels.
We had a lady who there's a kind of a real white trash boardwalk, and it really wasn't a boardwalk, in a town called Keensburg, where my family was sort of from, and they had a boardwalk there, and the jugs machine was worked by a lady who had real thick legs, a real fat bottom, and she would wear the corduroys. So I think we called her Rashy. So if I recall correctly. So
right.
Yes, at like 11 years old, I was a little mean prick.
Good times. We can laugh about it now. You know, the emotional scars aren't going away, but you know, we can
sure
try to laugh about it now.
I guess cyclists would have the same problem as hockey players. You're right. Pants would be difficult.
You know, at no point tonight did I think I'd be figuring out what athletes have trouble buying pants for what reason.
Yeah. Keensburg, a little methy now for Pro Martini Maker. A little methy.
Methy.
Yeah. They have good law enforcement there too. I had a cousin by marriage who actually he was on the force there for like 23 years and may have been a abusive prick on the force because he eventually lost his job. I think I've told the story before.
That's not easy to do as a officer of the law, I've been told.
No, it's not. He lost his job and his pension. That's how bad it was. How so? He was pulling over women and then kind of forcing them to go into his car and deliver some oral copulation. So that guy was
on the rundown.
That guy was a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, he began to get what he had coming to him, I guess.
I come from good stock, everybody. I'm a man of the people. I have never been around anyone who's gotten a $340 million deal. Is that a good segue?
Yeah, well done. Well played.
Yes, that's not my family.
Speaking of pants that don't fit, Fernando Tatis.
Oh, boy.
He's got a
$340 million, 14 years. Yay, baseball players. Yay, Padre fans, I guess. Yay, Padres themselves? Brilliant or buffoons?
I think based on his age and based on where the industry is going, are we – I don't know. I mean, I think if you want a centerpiece player, and I think he's that, I think this is where the industry's at, and you've got a core guy that you're going to build around. But I mean, all these deals the last couple of years have got to be bad. But to get him locked up at that price, which puts him at what? Is what 14 for how much? 380?
340.
340.
Yeah.
30 would be 420. So what is it? 20 would be 280 plus 60, 24 on average.
Sure.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
You have no idea. It's 24 plus, right? Under 25 million. I think that's a good deal for the guy.
I think the average is 24 and a half if I'm doing the math quickly in my head. But
particularly because there's still a cost-effective team right now because they've got so many young players.
Yep.
Get some of the cost out of the way. Honestly, Scott Boras would tell him he's an idiot.
That was Adam Hill's reaction today when he found out about it. We were off the air. And he was like, wow, that's going to be a really terrible deal when, like 10 years in. So average is 24.29 million per.
Yeah. I mean, do you believe, like, where do you think? I think it's a good deal for the Padres. I mean, 14 years is a bad thing, but at the price they're getting the discount per year because Tatis has the ability to, like on the open market to have grabbed a Trout-like deal. First of all, how old is he?
He's 22.
And they're buying. He had 4 more years of team control, right?
Yes.
So I mean, for the Padres, they've taken every one of his possible top years, and they get him at less than, a fraction of what. Not a fraction. I mean, it's hard to say it's low, but I mean, he was a $500 million guy, don't you think? If he hits the market, I want to remind myself of what the Mike.
Here's the thing. Let's also deal with reality. He's been in the majors for a couple of years. He hasn't played a full season yet. He could be 250, 20 homer, 80 RBI guy in 3 years. Like, there's no guarantee that he's 40 and 25 every year. I mean,
Mike Trout is going to make $35 million a year.
Right.
Basically from age 28 to age 38.
Okay.
So, and in 2020 was his first year at that top dollar. First year of the deal was $19 million, but overall 12 for 426 and a half on Trout.
I think it's a great deal for him. I think he did.
No one getting $340 million is getting screwed. Let's be
right. It's mega security. There's no downside. Here's the funny part is, if in 8 years he's fucking awesome and he's every year he's Mike Trout-esque and the Trouts of baseball are making $50 million a year, what do you think is going to happen? You don't think Tatis and his people are going to go to the Padres and go, all right, let's renegotiate a little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the potential for that. Yes. But I don't think it's so low. Like Salvador Perez for the Royals signed a deal that was so cost effective.
Yeah.
But he signed it so early that the Royals did end up tearing it up and then gave him a better deal, but still wasn't fair market value. And he's been a tremendous bargain for the entire time he's been with the Royals. But, I mean, Steve, last year the kid was on pace for he's Trout-esque in the fact that he walks. And at this age to walk, he doesn't walk like Trout walks, but to have the on base that he's got, like
what's he got, like a 370?
Career on base 374.
And that could get better.
558. I mean, basically he's got 629 plate appearances, 558 at bats at age 20 and 21.
Yeah.
Right. So he's basically got one full season in the big leagues. 39 homers, 98 driven in, 27 stolen bases, 24 doubles, 8 triples. 301 batting average, 374 on base, 582 slug for a 956. I mean, he's not Trout with 1,000.
Right.
Let me bring up Trout at 20 and 21. Trout at age 20 and 21 was hanging OPSs of 963 and 988. So he is Trout-esque.
Yeah.
Not quite the walk rate, but
I had a discussion yesterday. We want to get to J.J. Watt in a little bit and Von Miller, because obviously the only two teams who are going to be in on these guys, Raiders and Chiefs, head-to-head, back-to-back and a belly-to-belly. I was talking about J.J. Watt as an older guy. There's no fucking way I would sign anywhere, unless it was the Chiefs or the Packers. I would not sign my last deal in the NFL in a state that has state income tax. So I would only go to Nevada, Florida, Texas, Washington, Tennessee. I'm not paying 13%.
But that's what you don't. That's California. Actually erroneous, because they have to pay taxes on all the road games. So they have to pay where they play. So they end up filing, 9 tax returns just by being an NFL player.
So the California chart is only half the season.
And I think you can just make your permanent home in one of those states and still get a deduction. So if you own multiple houses, all you got to do is have an apartment in one of those states, and you're good.
By the way, I think in the past, David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, his main residence was in New York. He just bought a nice little place in Florida, for $73 million. Will that be his primary residence in Florida?
I would hope.
You would think. Yes.
You
would think.
I will say I believe that Clark Hunt, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, his permanent his actual home residence, well, Dallas is where he lives, is, help me out, maybe somebody in the chat room knows. I can't remember if it's the Virgin Islands.
No, is that right?
Yeah,
oh boy.
Oh yeah, Caribbean.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Caribbean. Like someplace down in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Do you think Tepper was like, let me put this much down? What are the payments?
He definitely. I will tell you this: he absolutely financed it.
Really? At 73 mil, huh?
100%. Because those guys, the interest rates now that you can get.
That's a good point.
You're dumb not to.
Yeah, he's worth $12 billion now.
What's his business?
Hedge fund guy.
Well, more power to him.
Pretty good line of business.
Fiji. Is Fiji in the Caribbean?
No, Fiji is not. Fiji's like freaking South Pacific. Fiji, really? That's awesome.
Is it Fiji?
So creative.
Down in the Caribbean somewhere.
That is so great.
Wait, I mean, a Google search has got to turn that up, right?
Oh, it's dynamite.
Let's see if I get.
We need to get. Everyone's got all these tax questions. KC Chief, do MLB players get taxed in every state they play in?
They do.
You know, there's actually there's a tax guy. It's like Sports Taxman on Twitter, and he's a great guy to lean on. Like I've leaned on him a couple times and been like, "Hey, what's the difference when a player plays in this state versus what's the difference if a guy plays in Canada under this contract versus playing in say Florida?" And he'll give you the information. He's like, "Hey, you can call me up, ready to come on." I'm like, no, not today. Just wanted to use you real quickly, Dominic. Sorry, we're not doing 12 minutes on taxes. Although, I'm a dirty whore of radio now, so. If he did advertise with us, I'd be like, yeah, we'll talk taxes every week for half an hour.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
Anything you want to do. We'll do a tax podcast.
Why not?
It actually is. It kind of rolls in. I mean, I'm kidding. We do extensive legal stuff, and we never get to all the stuff. I love having our mortgage guy on because I'm, learning more and more about real estate. We actually talked about Tepper and the $73 million thing yesterday, and the tax actually. Of all the topics out there that are kind of not sports related, the tax thing from a contract standpoint is a really important thing to discuss when we're talking about player movement and if it's a good deal or a bad deal. So
the amount of money the guys at the top end are making, it should not be based upon, an extra 4 or 5%. And
that was the I got that from Adam Hill. He's like, JJ Watt has made so much money on the field and endorsements that $400,000 shouldn't mean that much to him. I'm like, I'm not willing to say that, but I get your point.
I would agree with him. It shouldn't, if it's the difference between being on a winner and not being on a winner.
Right.
I will agree with him. It shouldn't, but I have no problem if it does. Then just don't tell me it's all about winning.
Okay.
Right? Don't okay me. Don't yeah me.
Well, it depends on the player. I don't know who says it's all about winning. So I guess if that's what they've said forever, and then they take the money instead, then you're right. Then they're a hypocrite. But I don't know about JJ Watt.
If you're talking about millions, tens of millions of dollars, and 400,000, the extra 400K is why you go somewhere and not the chance to play with like a Patrick Mahomes, then you're not all about the winning.
Yes.
Period. End of discussion. There's no maybe some guy. No bullshit. You're not all about the winning. If you're going to go play if you take more money to stay with the Texans, I mean, I will give J.J. Watt credit for winning out. That is an indication he wants to win because that franchise is a diseased piece of shit. But like, if you go to play for the Jets, come on,
it's a bright future.
Is it?
They finally have the winning team upstairs.
Do they?
Except for the owner. That's the only hitch. But Woody's going to be better this time now that he's involved. He's going to be better. He's not going to try to make splashy moves like getting Brett Favre and Tim Tebow on the team.
He won. Isn't the Brett Favre season his best season? Didn't they go 9-7 that year?
His best season as an owner?
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up. I think he's been around for a while.
Well, I mean, at least of recent times.
He didn't own the team. Well, yes, of recent time. He did. I was going to say he didn't own the team when they made back-to-back AFC Championship games with the Sanchez.
He probably did, but I'm just saying of late, Favre was actually their best year.
Of late, well, Favre, I think we'll look back. I think he's God damn it, I don't have it here.
Was Favre before Sanchez?
Yeah, Favre was before Sanchez.
Oh, all right, well, I take that back. No, so the Sanchez days are better. My timeline's all screwed up.
It happens. It's hard to pay attention to the Jets ins and outs and know everything. Exactly.
Be a Jet authority.
Yeah.
A Jet insider.
Oh, God. I don't remember anything anymore.
What are you looking for?
I was looking at Favre Jet era.
They were 9-7.
Right.
Are you doubting me?
I don't care what the record was. Well, I guess I do because that was the discussion.
That was the point, wasn't it?
It was. I just meant bringing in a guy who turned out to be a creep and was flashing his dick at people, sending dick pics. Yeah. Actually, Sanchez followed. He was actually right there. He was the guy right after Favre. So Favre was 2008. They went 9-7. 2009, 9-7 with the Sanchez, but they went to the championship game in the AFC against the Colts. In 2010, 11-5 with Sanchez, and they lost to the Steelers in the title game, 24-19. So, and yeah, let's not talk about the last 10 years. Wasn't good. There was a 10-6 year with Todd Bowles.
He did get to 10-6. I knew he had one decent year. I didn't realize it was that good.
Yeah, he had a 10-6, and then I think he had 3 straight. Was he 5-11, 4-12, 4-12? Yep. No, sorry, 5-11, 5-11, 4-12.
Did they go to the playoffs, or did they get aced out at 10-6?
They didn't make it in 2015 at 10-6. Typical Jets.
Good.
Typical Jets.
They don't deserve to make it.
They don't deserve to make it.
No, like those teams, and I'm fine with it because I like watching football. But we know who the real teams are. There's generally 3 or 4 in each side of the bracket, and the other ones are just there to provide commercial inventory.
That's the great thing about, if I have the Favre timeline correct, he was 22 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. Then he went to the Vikings and had like 50 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
I think he was did he go, was he like 38-9 or something with the Vikings? I think something like that. Or did he get to 40?
Oh, no, he was 33-7, 2019.
I knew he was.
He wasn't 50-3.
I knew he was 30 plus and less than 10. Which, by the way, think about that. Like, that doesn't seem like a big deal now. Do you know who the first quarterback was to throw 30 or more touchdowns with less than 10 interceptions?
Bobby Lane.
No,
I ruined it for you. What is it?
No, that's great. You actually make it sound great. It's Donovan McNabb.
What?
Donovan McNabb, 31-9. First quarterback ever.
I told you, dude.
First quarterback ever with 30 touchdowns, 30 plus, and less than 10 INTs.
Told you. You shot me down 2 weeks ago. I said if Andy Reid had gone full bore like college RPO with Donovan McNabb, he wins a Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb's one of the greatest ever. Ever.
I'm not going to hate on a Syracuse guy, but that's ridiculous. But
trying to set you up.
But I mean, now what did Brady went 50-7 or something? I think Mahomes was like 50-12, right? So he didn't dip down there, but Mahomes did 38-6 or something this year, 38-7. I mean, now it's commonplace for the top quarterbacks to be. And Rodgers, what was he? 48 and.
Someone punch up the quarterback stats. We need them. Where's the list?
I mean, I'll look it up. Because I'll tell you, I'll bet you'll be shocked. Like something that did not happen until.
Okay, so are quarterbacks better and more accurate now, or do they get an extra benefit from dink and dunk? Because when you look back, boy,
yes,
boy, oh boy, we're going to talk. I don't think I'm going to get into it, but tomorrow we're going to talk to Eric Williams, who played right tackle for the Cowboys with Aikman, and I still want to go down the Aikman path. Because, it's funny. I was looking at the records of the Cowboys after they won the Super Bowls, and in the back end of the 90s, they just were not very good. Right. And I was like, God damn, that would have been a nice time for Aikman to step up and put up some really big numbers. Nope.
Aikman's the world. Excuse me. He and Joe Namath battle it out for worst Hall of Famer, which somebody's got to be, right? Somebody's the worst one. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, but listen to this. So here are the top touchdown seasons this year and how many INTs they threw. Aaron Rodgers, 48 with 5 INTs. Tom Brady, 40 with 12. Russell Wilson, 40 with 13. Mahomes, 38 with 6. Josh Allen, 37 with 10. Kirk Cousins, 35 with 13. Roethlisberger, 33 with 10. Tannehill, 33 with 7. Deshaun Watson, 33 with 7. Justin Herbert, 31 with 10 as a rookie. And that's really the only one. I mean, and Derek Carr was 27 and 9. So Carr could see 30 with less than 10. But this year alone, it didn't happen until Donovan McNabb. This year alone, there were 4 players that accomplished it. And along with Brady, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and Ben Roethlisberger that were in the neighborhood. 2 guys had 30 plus with 10. The ability of the quarterbacks and the ability of the receivers today is insane. So any kind, and by the way, it's that way in the NBA too with shooting. So like everyone needs to calm down about Jordan a little bit, because the ability of guys to just drop threes like it's nobody's business is such a difference maker. Like the whole conversation about the Bulls coming in and dominating today's NBA is so asinine, it's laughable. But the receivers and quarterbacks in the NFL are ridiculous. It is ridiculous what they do.
I agree. The accuracy alone from quarterback, the expectation on NFL quarterbacks to complete like every pass, and they pretty much do. It's pretty crazy the stuff they throw out there that gets caught, and the spots, the spaces they can squeeze the ball in. It's nuts.
And when you see, and what I think we're eventually going to get more of is the Madden view during games. Like the future with all these channels and different things are going to be able to, like when we watch the championship game and ESPN has all the different formats where you can watch things. The future is a Madden View channel, I believe. And when you watch the Madden View, and particularly if they drop that camera down to their level, what they are looking at and what they do is ungodly. It is stupid what they are doing. I mean,
watch games on the field and like what. I mean, I only get a chance. I'm doing Mountain West Conference games on the field, and when they play bigger opponents, just being on the field and watching how fast the game is. But also sometimes I'll sit in the end zone as the action's coming towards an end zone, because maybe I'll try to get a quick picture or a video of a touchdown, and you see the quarterback drop back. Like when you're on let's say that, so the offense is coming at you, you're in the end zone, you're blocked by the defense and the offensive line, and as they drop back, you're like, where the fuck's the quarterback? Like like I'd have to be 6'8" to see him. Like, how does a quarterback see shit? I mean, I swear, even on the collegiate level, there are so many throws the quarterback's just like, all right, spot. It's just throw it to a spot. Like something that's quick. It is to a spot. You really can't. You scan quickly. It's a split second, but you're not watching the receiver the whole way, because people are coming at you so fast. They're bigger than you. They're just throwing it to a spot. It's amazing.
Well, and then they look safeties off you. I mean, that's where Mahomes' level has gotten a lot higher. As he's looking to the right, like he does a great job. And if you get a close up, he will turn his helmet to the right with the eyes looking out to the left. But there are other times that he's just counting on Tyreek Hill is going to get there on one of the longer throws. So he's looking at the other under two, the first 2 underneath throws. And then last second he brings it over and he's going to let it fly and puts it right on the money. The skill level of the pitch and catch in the NFL is unreal.
Brady, what was the number for McCown? I know you sent me the link, but I don't feel like clicking on it. Actually, I can't.
Josh McCown?
It's not hyperlinked. He found a list of best seasons ever of touchdown to interception.
You know who's on that list?
Well,
I'll look up McCown. Damon Heward has the record for the Kansas City Chiefs TD INT, because he had, when he filled in for Trent Green, when Trent Green had his concussion, he had a 13-1. Was probably the year he's talking about with the Bears.
Yep.
3-2 as a starter, and overall 13 touchdowns, 1 INT. Damon Heward, I think, had an 11-1, which is the Chiefs' record. And because it looked like Mahomes was going to have a shot, he didn't throw a pick for like 7 weeks or something, that he was going to have a shot at it. Damon Heward had an 11-1 in 06 when he filled in for Trent Green, going 5-3. Those are kind of fluke things, but
how many people on the list, Brady, are better than was Foles 27-2?
Yeah, I think that
27 touchdowns and 2 INTs.
That is slightly. I think Tom Brady, the year he had Deflategate and was suspended for 4, I think he holds the record. Let me look here. He had a 28-2, and Foles had a 27-2.
Brady had a 28-2.
28-2 the year he was suspended. The 4 games he went 11-1 through 20 touchdowns, 2 INTs, and 16.
Just ridiculous.
And route to a championship.
So good. But you know what? Until you get the rings, you're not as good as Troy Aikman, guys. Okay.
That is one reason why I am rooting for Mahomes to get 3, because at that point, Kansas City will put an all-out assault on Troy Aikman on social media. His arrogant shit. Let me know when he's got 3 Super Bowls. Okay. We will.
Yeah.
I hope we get there. He may not. It's one of the things people don't realize. It gets a lot harder when you see the challenges the Chiefs have in this offseason. It's difficult to win championships. It seems like it's easy, but it's not. But if he gets to 3, we're gonna jam it down Troy Aikman's throat. Instagram, social media is going to be jammed down his throat and up his ass. They'll meet in the middle. Instagram one way, Twitter the other.
Can we bang this one out?
What do we decide on Tatis, by the way?
What, good or bad deal? I think in the long run, it's a good deal for Tatis because I don't believe anyone's locked into a contract. I think all the risk is on the Padres side. So
okay.
he could be a flop by the time he's 28, or just an average player, and guy, you get guys now, middle class players.
You're saying if he's severely underpaid, he can threaten to shoot his way out of town and they'll give him more.
Of course he can, yes.
Okay. I like that call.
Right. Yeah.
We don't know the details. There may be opt-outs and things like that, which I'll bet there probably is.
And that's the other thing. Unless who was his agent? Do we know? There's no way he signed a deal that's like he's locked into a 14.
He's not Boris.
Yeah. He's probably got opt-outs of like 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
But
damn, that 340 sounds nice.
Something comes up, booking agent contact if you want to book Fernando Tatis. I think that got more expensive. I'm not seeing who his who his agent is, but anyway.
So
it would say Boris if it was Boris. It's not Boris. So go ahead.
No, so I was saying, folks were mentioning earlier about McNabb and Rush Limbaugh. Did you see some of the reaction today on Limbaugh? A lot of people celebrating him. A lot of other people are like, "Good riddance, go to hell."
I didn't. I get it. Yeah, I mean,
he was on ESPN and he said, "Hey, the league has a vested interest in the success of black quarterbacks." So, And then I remember defending him, not because of the comment, but my defense was, "You hired Rush Limbaugh. This is what you get. This is what you wanted. Stick with him. Don't be pussies and back down." And they back down, of course.
ESPN hasn't pulled that. Like the Monday Night Football, what do we have? We had Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
And we had the PTI guy. And they had Rush Limbaugh doing commentary.
Well, Limbaugh may have done a couple of spots on Monday Night Football, but his spot, I think, was actually
it was on
the Sunday preview. Yeah, Sunday game.
On game day. But I'm saying they decided the way to go is to get people who aren't football people.
It was weird.
What was that? I mean, at least, PTI guy, I can't remember his name now.
Kornheiser.
At least Kornheiser covered sports.
Right.
He was terrible on Monday Night Football. The Tony, what's tomorrow's headline? Just obvious, Christ, we got to get him involved somehow.
Yep. They were all terrible, and then they act shocked that Rush was going to throw something out there that was controversial. That's what he does.
Sorry to say this, I don't think he's been that good from the get-go. I think what we've had here is a little social concern in the NFL. The media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well. There is a little hope invested in McNabb, and he got a lot of credit for the performance of this team that he didn't deserve. The defense carried this team.
Offensive? When you look back on it, how offensive was it? Was the media at the time very desirous that a black quarterback do well?
I think it's erroneous. No, I don't think that there was a huge. I don't think there was.
I guess the response to that would be: have you seen the media, especially back around what year was it? 2004 or 5? When the hell was he in there? 2003. Do we really believe at the time that the media then was filled with a bunch of guys who were? I'm not even going to say on any side of the aisle, but that's what it cracks me up in baseball that Kurt Schilling made it all into like, hey, the liberal baseball media. Most of the guys are over 50 years old. They actually agree with you. A lot of them do. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, do I think everybody? I think the true like Urban Meyer, right? Got is under fire. That's good. I try to be thoughtful and then give an answer based upon facts. Urban Meyer, I think it's interesting. I said this today. Should any free agent sign in Jacksonville if Urban Meyer will hire the Iowa strength coach? I can't remember his name.
Chris Doyle. Chris Doyle.
If he'll hire a guy who was insulting players, had comments with racist overtones, if he will hire him less than a year, not less than 9 months after he got fired,
yep,
and you're a free agent, like I said, there are two things that work here. One, anyone who signs to play with Urban Meyer, it's the old saying, hey, would you have sex with me for $10? No. What about 10 million? Well, yes. Okay, so we've established what you are. Now we're just negotiating price. You're a whore.
Yeah.
It's just what's it going to take?
Right.
Right? I said we all have some of that in us. Would you work for a racist boss for, $22,000 a year? No. Would you do it for 22 million? Yes. We've established what we all are.
Yep.
We're just negotiating the price. And I think everybody has a price. The morality is moved based upon the price that they are paid, what's in it for them. And I think that's true of everybody. I mean, I think for $22 million, I would grin and bear it because of what it would do for my family. And I would be like, okay, I got to work for this racist prick and take whatever shit's coming my way. And, I bank that $22 million for a year and then I'm out and we're all good. And It's worth the shit I'm going to get because I set my family up. People have kids know the cost you're looking at for kids and everything. You're like, okay, this is good. But for Urban Meyer, so for an NFL guy, if you got a reasonable offer someplace else and you go to play for Urban Meyer, Black Lives Matter, all that, but then you're going to go play for the Jaguars, a guy who said 9 months afterwards, I'm going to hire Chris Doyle. And I said, the thing about Urban Meyer is he promoted as many black quarterbacks as anybody in college football. He clearly has no problem on that front. I think Urban Meyer is a guy that literally it does not matter whether you're white, black, yellow, brown, orange, green, or racist. He does not give a shit. Will you help him win? And if you will help him win, regardless of what you are, what you stand for, he does not give a shit. All he cares is, will you win? I think it's an interesting dynamic that's going on there. And I don't think anyone will, like when a black player signs, hey, did you have a problem signing with Urban Meyer? He was willing to hire, he tried to hire Chris Doyle right out of the gate. But that's a question that should be asked, right?
Of course.
I think it should.
Of course. That was an interesting way to describe Meyer.
I don't think he's a racist, but I don't think he gives a shit about any cause either.
Like he's just all football.
He's just some people would say he's all for himself. I think in some ways I think there's a lot of Jordan and Lombardi, and Jordan was a prick to play with. He was not fun being. If you watch the Jordan rules, they get into a little bit. You read Blood on the Horns or I was The Last Dance. If you watch The Last Dance, they get into a little bit. If you read Jordan rules and Blood on the Horns and some of the things he would say and do to his teammates, it wasn't a fun guy to be around. He was 100%. That's why I think at the end of the third episode or wherever it is, I mean, the guy that was not. It was that we were in a pandemic and we had nothing else to watch, and so it was must-watch TV. But how the final scene was not Jordan breaking up, saying, "You don't want to play with me? You're not all in? That's fine." That was the moment. You know how many times I've gone back and watched him?
Yep.
Doing that.
We talked about him today because we were talking about like competing and motivating teammates and managing people. And Adam brought it up, and Adam got, what Adam got out of Jordan was just a horrible shitbag he was. And then my angle was I love a guy who's that competitive. And at the end, he's crying because he's upset that people don't get him. They're upset at him.
It's the Jack Nicholson line in A Few Good Men. Like, we need him on that wall. We want him on the wall. We don't want to know how they go about defending it and how he gets them, ready to, stand toe-to-toe with Cuba. We just want to know that we're safe at night, right? That's the whole inner dynamics of A Few Good Men. In athletics, we name the trophy after Vince Lombardi. His home life was shit. He was a domineering, oppressive individual at home, right? He was a pain in the ass. His wife, he was a miserable prick at parties and everything. And it was just whatever Vince needed, wherever football goes, football. Michael Jordan, if you're his teammate, eat shit. You're not as good as me. I'm going to point that out, and you better do what I tell you to do. Yep. It was a miserable life. But we want to celebrate Jordan. He's the GOAT. He's the best. Nobody wants to hear about how it sucked ass to play with Michael Jordan.
Yep. Hey, he was a son of a bitch. Let's go back to Meyer, because I actually think in some ways you can tie Urban Meyer to Rush Limbaugh. Watch how we do this. So you said Urban basically is it's all football, right? And then Q Levy's in here. Yeah, he might not be racist, but he's tone deaf on how to coach grown men. Is this going to work?
So a couple of things here. One, I had a chance.
You have to be aware of your employees and their feelings a little bit, and different people have to be managed different ways, and you got to know what they might be upset about and what might distract them to where you're not going to get max effort out of them.
There is massive evidence that says it won't work because he does have to shift gears. He cannot coach the same way he did in college. Professional athletes are different than college athletes because they have a union that protects them. Yeah. They have rights on their contracts. You can't be, a shit to them. You've got a lot of money tied up in them. If they decide not to play, they can jack up your cap, and so he is going to have to shift gears. And there's a lot of people, Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier. There's a lot of college guys that have given it a go and it didn't work. So he's going to have to shift gears. So if you want to say it's not going to work, you have ample evidence to say that. It did work for Jimmy Johnson, though. For a little bit, it worked for Barry Switzer. With the program up and running, he could stand watch on. He went to a conference championship game and won a Super Bowl in his first 2 years. There are guys that have had success at it. I think Rule is going to be, really good. Right. So he's going to have to shift gears. But if you win, Brian Waters, I used to talk to Brian Waters every week, the former Pro Bowl and All-Pro guard for the Chiefs. And Brian was always a very thoughtful guy and very opinionated. And he said, listen, no matter if the play sucks, we're going to run it. Because, we can't make something up in the huddle. They're too complex. Right. So even if you have a shitty coach, we're going to do what he says. Because doing what a shitty coach says is better than everybody going, no, fuck it, let's do this. He said, so it's going to happen. But he said, but when you have a coach that puts you in position to win and gives you the ability to be the best that you can be, to be as successful as you could be, to showcase your skills, to monetize your skills, right? Then you're going to follow that coach. And so I think guys will sign to play down in Jacksonville. They've got a ton of cap room. They've got a lot of picks. I think he does get offensive football. And, I've talked to a lot of coaches. I mean, I think his offensive acumen is outstanding. I think there's a lot of things he does that Andy Reid has borrowed. I know Bill Snyder, would talk. I remember talking to Bill Snyder, and he was always talked extremely highly of where he had taken offensive football. And so those are a couple of guys that I respect. And so I think he will put guys in a position to succeed, and I think he's going to get a quarterback. And so when he has a quarterback and he puts people in a position to succeed, they're going to play for him. I think it will work with Urban Meyer. I would say yes. You have to give me the parameters of what will work. So you think he's going to win a couple Super Bowls? I'm not going to guarantee that. That's more dependent upon Trevor Lawrence's ability to ascend to the highest level at the NFL. But he's not going to crash and burn the way Steve Spurrier or Lou Holtz did. Not in my opinion. Now I have had people say he won't be able to take the losses in the NFL, but I think he may be able to put a good enough team on the Jags. You know, Andy Reid took over a 2-14 Chiefs team and went 11-5, and I wouldn't be stunned with the cap room that they've got and the draft picks that they have if Urban Meyer wasn't able to do something like that.
So where I want to tie Urban and Limbaugh together is this. When you have a single-minded focus, like, you know, Urban's all about football, right? He's got these blinders on. He might not even be able to recognize like what's going on with the racial problems. Probably his worst moment, and I'm sure he still won't admit this, was not only bringing Aaron Hernandez into Florida, but also covering for him and sort of enabling him to turn into more of a fucking lunatic. And the way I tie it together with Rush,
well, I know where you're going with this,
is no, but like when you're a high achiever and you put the blinders on and you're like, I don't give a fuck if I potentially damage society. I find it fascinating, and I don't, because I want to talk about Rush and his impact on radio, but in the case of Urban Meyer, like does the winning, does the developing, like lots of positive contributors to society from playing football at Ohio State and Florida, does that outweigh, you know, dealing with like whatever it was, 37 police incidents at Florida? Like, you're also putting out bags of shit. And as it turned out, I mean, the allegations were it appeared that Aaron Hernandez was a guy who was fingered in a potential shooting incident or threat in Gainesville, and it was kind of covered up. And like that to me is like, that's Urban Meyer. Like, what is he doing? Yeah, just fucking fix it. And come on, football.
I do want to rewind and, you know, putting positive people out in society. There's a difference between not crushing positive people that were going to be positive anyway, and being responsible for why people are positive influences on society. So I would say, who is the guy that says, my life was going the wrong way, but Urban Meyer put me on the right path? Was there a guy that was a really good football player, that was really good in his community, stuck up for the kid that was getting bullied in high school, you know, worked in his, volunteered for shit in his community, went to Florida or Ohio State, played for Urban Meyer, came out and continued to do that work as an NFL guy. He's up for the NFL Man of the Year now, you know, and he just didn't succumb to Urban Meyer's bullshit. It's like he used football. Like I know people whose kids have played high level D1 sports. And one of the best advice I heard the father tell the son is, make sure you use basketball. Don't let basketball use you. And I thought that was great advice, knowing that I will never have kids that are athletic. But I think that's something that can be used. You know, make sure you use your job. Don't let your job use you. I think you can use it that way. Make sure you use your college just academically. Get the most out of it. Don't let yourself be used. Take advantage of all the resources that are there for you. I think it's good advice to have. And so, like Urban Meyer, I want to be clear. There are good people that played for Urban Meyer that are out there. But did Urban Meyer make him a better person? Like, I think Urban Meyer coached football. And right. I think he probably shielded shitbags. And certainly, you know, the Hernandez story speaks for itself. It didn't get better. He didn't put Hernandez on a straight and narrow path, right, to getting things better. And to your point about Limbaugh, right, so I had different people reaching out to me like, you know, the guy's an icon in broadcasting, no doubt, right? Success monetarily. I mean, I'm sure I think he and Howard Stern are the two highest paid. I don't know which one made more. Two highest paid, you know, people in the history of radio. Yeah, I'd love his check, right? But what will you do to get it? And I think to your point, you know, you mentioned the McNabb statement. Is that statement the worst statement you've ever heard? No, but there were lots of statements like it that I think as we look today and we see, at least, you know, if you were to guess racist factions that are out there, are they more likely to support a Republican candidate or a Democratic candidate? They're more likely to support a Republican candidate. I don't think I'm overstepping my bounds. Not to say that the Republicans are racist, just saying that had happened. And I think he was part of endearing, or at least normalizing, and maybe taking some people that would say, I don't want those people with me, and desensitizing them to some of the comments along the way. I mean, I think there were sexist comments, certainly, as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would disagree that he saved AM radio. I would say AM radio made him more than I would say he saved AM radio.
Don't you think he took divisive, and let's be honest, divisive right-wing radio that's actually the political radio.
He invented it.
That the left-wing radio, there is no left. It doesn't work. It never worked. Commercial right-wing radio was a genre that was gigantic, and he, like you said, he wasn't the first to do it, but he took it to another level. I mean, we can say he invented it. And I'm not going to say he saved AM radio, but you know what? There are a lot of groups around the country that built off of what Rush did, an entire lineup, and frankly, he may have saved the building.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Listen, I think I think sports talk did as much or more for AM radio than Rush Limbaugh did, because Rush Limbaugh would be like, well, he's number one. Well, what do you think his percentage of listenership was? It wasn't a 51. Okay, his ratings, he was number one, but it takes 7% of the listenership to be number one. So 93% of the people said, I ain't listening to that shit.
Right.
Okay, so I think people need to calm down. Like, we hear number one, you have to put it into context, right? If you're number one with a 2 and everybody else is, between a 1.8 and a 0.1, how much better are you really? Okay, so, and I think that's what goes on in radio. I don't think people understand that he's number one. Everybody's listening to him. Everybody is not listening to him. In fact, the vast majority are not listening to him.
Right.
Okay, so he understood, and I think Howard Stern, and I think in the movie Private Parts, they did a great job of explaining it. When they're like, oh, what do they listen? Well, they want to hear what he has to say. What are the people who hate him? They want to hear what he has to say next, right? There was an element of that, but the reality is that what Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh understood is, if you can get 9 out of every 10 people to hate your ass, but 1 out of every 10 loves you, you're number one and the highest paid guy in radio. And he understood that, and I think he clicked. You're talking about a guy who was a PR guy for the Kansas City Royals at one point, right? That's why he's good buddies with George Brett, or was good buddies with George Brett. He worked for the Kansas City Royals when George Brett was playing for the Royals, and he came up and he started his radio career here in Kansas City, and he understood, I think, better than anybody. I can monetize 10% of the audience. Like, I can monetize the shit out of it. So what do they want to hear? How do I galvanize to consistently win? And did he believe all his bullshit? I don't know. At some point, he probably started convincing himself. But I mean, I think there was a formula there. And I think what is important for everyone to understand, and I think sports fans get it more. It's harder for us in sports to just be like, this guy, I'm going to build my career on Andy Reid sucks. And I'm just going to wait. And every mistake he makes, I'm going to do it. Like, it's harder to do that. But politically, nobody really digs into it. What's the United States? What's the budget of the United States of America? How much is it? Somebody asked for a $2 trillion relief package. Like, what percentage of the budget is it? Nobody can answer that fucking question.
Right.
Like, there's places you can go and get ballpark figures and get a better understanding. But for the most part, nobody takes the time. He understood that for the most part, Americans are really fucking stupid when it comes to how the country's run. And he understood that they could be manipulated and he could monetize it. And so it's one of the great success stories ever for capitalism. If your goal is to say, I want to judge how, were things better or worse, I mean, that's up to your own interpretations. I'll let everybody do that. He was an incredibly successful radio person. He absolutely gamed the game like it was nobody's business. But I think part of it also was our ignorance as a community as to what he was talking about. Nobody ever really fact-checked him. If I go and tell you no one's ever thrown more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes, you'll Google that shit and throw it in my face.
Sure.
But nobody Googles any of this shit when it comes to the politics. Just tell me what I want to hear.
What do you think? Adam Hill and I get into this all the time, where someone passes away and they didn't really have a great legacy in many ways. And you make a comment the day they die or the day after. Too soon. Is there really such a thing? And with Rush, like, I've seen a lot of people like, I would never root for someone's death. You know what? Sometimes people pass away.
Did you root for Hitler's death? Because I would have.
Right. I would. Well, I mean, give his family like 4 days to heal.
I'm not.
I'm joking, but yeah. And now, again, you don't bring up Hitler to minimize what Hitler did.
I bring it up
to the MMA stuff with Gina Carano and all that nonsense. But
there are certain people that the world is a better place if they're gone.
Yeah, there are certain people who do so much damage to society that, You could be better off without them around.
Yeah.
And if you want to fake it, then that's on you.
Yeah,
I'm not here to fake it.
I haven't listened to Rush Limbaugh consistently ever. I've like the only time I've really listened, just because I'm always listening to sports. But if I'm out, when I used to have to drive long distances, and I would, like, okay, it's the only channel that's coming in. Let me listen. And there are times I'm like, he's one of the most successful broadcasters out there. Let me see how he does his thing. Let me see how he spins his topics. Let me see how he does it. Like I can pick something up from him. An accomplished radio guy, outstanding. Command of the show, prepared.
Yep.
Always something to talk about. Like, he was never mailing it in. Every now and then he might go to some calls at the end, but for the most part, he was one of the guys that took the genre beyond just, okay, I'm here, you call and you run the show. He had a show ready to go, prepared. And from that standpoint, top shelf, as good as it gets.
Selling
audience expectations, always delivered to his audience built the audience expectation, and then delivered to that expectation. As a broadcaster, tremendous, incredible. Absolutely.
Selling a bit with lots of branches on the tree. No, he was one of the kings of doing that.
Yeah, one of the yeah.
And what he did has spawned a whole a whole TV genre, no doubt. And frankly, there are guys in sports who are basically doing the same sort of thing that Rush did. You find some overall enemy. I mean, I think a lot of
villain.
I find the villain, but I think a lot of sports talkers, the villain is the athlete. And you just pick the athlete of the week or the year or that 6 months, and you just smash 2 or 3 guys, and you just keep going back to the well. The average fan is jealous of. Yeah, the average fan is
a bad impression of Limbaugh.
But you would say that's the Limbaugh radio tree. Guys like that.
Skip Bayless makes $4 million a year. So again,
I would never do that.
If what you want to do is be the most lucrative, sports personality out there, Skip Bayless has taken the Rush Limbaugh blueprint and made it happen. If what you want to be is the most respected person in breaking down and analyzing sports, you're not going to make as much money, not even close, and it's going to be a different path,
And I like that. Find a villain, more like create a villain. Yeah, a lot of it is creating a villain.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. I agree. I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah, create a villain.
How can I come up with something every day or once a week that shows that LeBron James is just a shithead? And you're like, well, you're gonna have to dig hard on that, but you've done it.
Yeah, and now it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, his is so. Skip Bayless is so pathetic. Like, Limbaugh is not digging that. Bayless. You're not missing anything there.
Can I bring up should I bring it up?
Go ahead.
Topic.
What was it? What was said that I'll deflect?
Yeah.
Excellent deflector.
Oh, going back to the real issue at the end there, and I know it had built over the years. Keatsman was not a one-off incident. But his whole point about Andy Reid's family troubles, like, did anyone think about that the last couple of weeks with Britt Reid now?
I think it was thought about.
And I wonder if there's got to be Keatsman devotees in town, and they were probably like, see, he was fucking right. Andy Reid is a bad father. He's not a mentor. He's got another son doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said, right, and so listen, I he does not work for the company anymore, and so, but still, I want to choose my words carefully, because I know this is something that everybody will remember. His end did not come about because of one circumstance, right? So the perception is the last straw is what broke the camel's back, but it was all the straws that ultimately did it. There was always turmoil and issues and problems and things that would come about. And listen, I mentioned Rush Limbaugh. He had plenty of sponsors, right? When you start screwing up the sponsors, then you can be great. You can be the most real, keeping it real, honest guy out there. But if no one will sponsor your radio show, you're fucking unemployed. Okay, so there's that element of things that goes into it. And so the Andy Reid situation, I believe, of course, I was not in on the decision making. I'm the monkey that bangs the cymbals. For the time they tell me to bang the cymbals, I don't make any of the decisions around there. But there was plenty of turmoil and plenty of issues, time and time again. And I think ultimately it was like, okay, that's it. That's the end of the road. That's enough. But I look, the discussion about those that are committed to the level you have to be committed to be a success in professional sports, like that is a discussion, like it is not a healthy environment, always for raising a family. I mean, it's a difficult situation. Can you be father of the year and coach of the year in the same season? I probably not. No, I don't think you can. So, but I do think that also that this is sports. This is not, we're not critiquing the president of the United States who holds in his hand whether or not people live or die, the resources of the country. We're talking about a sports entity. And so I don't know that personal life, to me, I don't talk about people's personal life until it affects their job. Britt Reid gets in a car crash 2 days before the Super Bowl. That's affecting Andy Reid's job. It's a discussion and we're going to have it. But, any coach and how they are as a parent, a husband, those kind of things, if it's not affecting their job, there are numerous coaches that you've been around, that maybe are fooling around on their wife, or they're not real good with their father. That's not sport. That's not sports talk radio. Sports talk radio is about sports, at least the way I do it. When they start to affect the sports, then I'll talk about the family life. But I think politically, when you talk about the political world, if you talk about the president of the United States, and he's doing things that are creating problems for the country, that's real. And you need a press that's reporting on that kind of stuff. So, to each his own, however you want to do it. But if you can't be sponsored, you can't be employed.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Yes and no. In some ways, it's a guardrail to keep us from being complete assholes. I mean, we clearly do things differently here than we would on the radio, right?
Right. I was being sarcastic. It doesn't suck. You learn over the years that there's a balance, and you can still say a lot of what you want to say, but there has to be a little creativity to it.
No,
I'll just tell you, we have some issues in our building where we have some younger broadcasters who are like, I gotta lie when I go on air. I guess if that's the way you look at it, yeah, you do a little bit. You can't say everything you want to say. It sucks. Like Petro said, I go a little further on this show, but there are business concerns. We're trying to stay in business, and you're right. I guess it's lying.
I think, like, give you an example, and don't even ask because I'm not going to answer it. There's a very popular individual in Kansas City sports over the years, right? Maybe he's done, maybe he's not done, whatever, who I think is a two-faced piece of shit. Okay? And nobody else in the city thinks that. But I've seen it. And I know it. And I'm never going to say it publicly, right? And number one, because, I always,
Rhymes with?
Yeah, no.
We'll tone it down. Initials?
Nope. Won't do it. I'm not going to give anything.
Adam's coming in with the rhymes with now.
Yeah. But, it is like, what's the purpose of fighting that fight? That's the other thing that's there is like, are you going to fight the fight that, there's got to be something worth winning. So,
right.
Why are you going to do it? Just because you can? Because I heard this or I saw this. Here it is. Let's go out there. Like, one of the things I was taught in journalism school is like, are you serving the greater good? Right? As a journalist, you're supposed to ask yourself, are you serving the greater good? That is part of what you're doing. You ask provocative questions because you're serving the greater good. If you're asking questions that are look at me and get yourself recognized and make yourself a bigger deal, you're not actually a journalist. I take the journalism part. I had a program director say to me, well, you're not actually a journalist. And I almost punched him. I said, why? Because I speak and I don't write? Like, is that what it is? Like, what are you talking about? I don't put shit out there just to sensationalize or to draw attention to myself. I put out there what I think sports fans need to know to enjoy sports at a higher level. And I'm not going to go out there. So trust me, and any individual that I would have, I will say this, and this is the only time I'm going to say it. Nobody has even come close with the rhyming or the names. No one will. I will put it this way: no one will ever guess it.
Nice. I want to give a little silence, let that marinate a little bit. Think about it.
They won't.
Think about it. Think about it.
I've seen Marcus Allen's a pain in the ass. I'll say that, but that's not the guy I'm talking about. I mean, George Brett is a peach. I like George a lot. Great guy.
Soren was actually attacking himself, according to Adam. It was just a
that's fine. Hey, on some days, 100%. I'm sure there's a lot of people that tell you that's it. You catch me on the wrong day, because I there's a little bit of Jordan in me. I give a shit. And if you're taking the show, yeah, it's Curtis. There it is. Curtis is the best. No, but I mean, like, there's a little bit. There are people that'll tell you. Listen, there are customer service people that'll tell you I'm an asshole, because when I buy something and it doesn't work, I am not a friendly guy when I call you.
No.
Nobody's even close.
Yeah, I think you're making it too obvious. It's not Larrington Barrison.
I don't even know who that is. I know it's the rhyming, but
it's the guy. Isn't he on 610 in the afternoons?
Oh, Carrington's a great guy. No, I love Carrington. Carrington's a great guy. It's not a media guy. It's a guy who played or coached or managed or owned the game. No, Carrington's a great guy. I love Carrington. Good dude.
Every time I text with this guy, what a hunk of shit this guy is. I tried to get a guest hook the other day. He's like, nope, we don't talk about that state at all. I'm like, come on.
At Iowa State. We had a guy at Iowa State. I don't know why. I got to think. I'll get you that guy.
Now we did fine. Ari kicked ass. He got us David Archer, who played in the NFL. He played at Iowa State.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ari got us Marcus Pfizer, who lives here in town.
Vermees. Vermees is as good as it.
Come on.
Holy shit. Peter Vermees.
Jesus Christ, he went to Rutgers. It's a fucking factory of character.
Peter Vermees is absolute nails. Yeah. It's grunny. I like that. No one's guessed. No one's even come close, and no one will. You would never think of it. And I'm like I said, here's the other thing is, and take it with a grain of salt. No one else would ever say no one in this city has the same opinion that I do.
Ooh, but you've seen things.
Yeah.
You've seen things. So let me talk about something related. Is college basketball dying?
Why did you have that thought independently?
Yes.
Yeah, just on your own, you came to that conclusion. Because I came to that same conclusion. And
that was your
thing today at 2:00 as well.
That was your topic, and I was fascinated by it when I was listening, because I listen to your show every day early on to steal stuff.
That's not thank you.
And it's actually, that would be a little technique of the clunky segue from out of nowhere that Adam Hill enjoys that I will pull off every once in a while on Cofield and Company. So
what is it? Shit other people are doing?
That, and when we're talking about something, just completely do the left turn where people are like, what the fuck? What just happened?
Yeah. Or take his opinion and throw it at him, like before he gets a chance to put it out there.
I don't do that. I would never play tricks in games to corner him, or would never do that. Yeah, I don't believe college basketball is dying. Do you?
I'm wondering if it is. We're in a unique situation here. K-State is awful. Has not won a game. Has lost their last 13 games. They've only got one conference win. Missouri surprised some people to be good, but as soon as Missouri fans were maybe ready to invest, they hit the skid.
By the way, wasn't Mizzou a surprise? And now people are like, Martin sucks. Like, I think he over-delivered, and now it's probably back to the norm. Like, relax.
He's a victim of his own. But here's the thing. Here's what he's got a weird deal in the sense that not a weird deal. Like, as soon as he won 20 games or made the NCAA tournament, which he did in his first year he hired the Porter brothers' dad, got Michael Porter and Jonte Porter in there, got into the tournament, went out with a whimper in the first round. But that guaranteed his deal for 4 years.
Ooh.
And the thing that people need to understand on how the college basketball deals are written is it's guaranteed through April 30th, right? Every deal that I see, April 30th is the end of the year. So it guaranteed him when he did that. That's how low they were to get Conzo Martin, who's been to one tournament at Tennessee, one tournament at Cal, and one tournament at Missouri now. To get him, they had to put a deal in, and they knew that he could nail down that recruiting class, that they would give him 4 years guaranteed, right? And then it's a $6 million buyout. It's not unheard of, but it's still high. So, and if he goes to the tournament a second time, it guarantees another year. So he's going to make the tournament if he wins like one more game for sure. And that's going to guarantee him through April 30th of 22. So, and then you can fire him on May 1st of 22 when all the other, any good candidate is gone at a cost of $6 million. So you're not going to do that. So he's going to be there for 22, 23. So he's there this year, next year, and the year after, once he makes the tournament this year. And then you can't, again, it doesn't drop to $3 million till May 1 of 23. So it's just like, you know, I'm rooting for Conzo Martin. I would love to see, first of all, I want to see every African-American coach succeed. Basketball is certainly much more progressive than football. But I want to see him succeed. He's from East St. Louis, which is just across the Missouri line. He's a local guy. So I want the local guys. I always want all local guys, at least local for Mizzou. I want them to succeed. And so I want Conzo Martin to succeed. But he is not a dynamic personality. Like Frank Martin, like the angry, the yelling, the like he's like a caricature. Like you love having Frank Martin as your coach. K-State fans loved Frank Martin. And I think you've got to create a love affair between fan and coach. And Conzo Martin hasn't been able to do that yet. And so we've got that situation. And Missouri thinks going to the Final Four is like splitting an atom. It's the most difficult thing ever because they've never done it.
Right.
And then Kansas is sitting around in purgatory waiting to find out what's going to happen in the NCAA. And until then, they can't recruit at the level they're used to. They're not going to be a number one seed. And Kansas fans don't give a shit about anything other than getting to the Final Four. And so it's an admittedly awkward time here for college basketball. But, like, I've said this for several years. People, like, if you want to generate interest, if you want to generate calls, like, don't talk college basketball. Because, like, people, I don't know that anybody – does anybody watch a 2.5-hour college basketball game beginning to end anymore?
I mean, I do for my team. My teams. One I cover, one I root for.
I know K-State fans, for the most part, are not watching that turd.
Because they're not good. Yeah, I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch Syracuse. I don't watch a full Syracuse game. I have not watched one Syracuse game beginning to end this year.
Well, because for you, their expectations have been diminished.
They're still my team, though.
Yeah.
Are you telling me college basketball is healthy right now?
It depends on what healthy is. I mean, if you believe that we have to have Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, who else? Michigan State all compete for a championship. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, I think it's healthier than ever because the competition is becoming more open. There are more players around the country. Mid-majors are getting old together, so they're better and better. I think it feels more balanced than college football. Although I do believe college football is going to go in that direction in coming years, where there is going to be some more balance. But really? I love it.
How is that happening?
Because one, I think we're going to see a couple of coaches who are just dominant, done. So that Saban will be out of the mix. And I think kids are so impatient that they're not going to be able to stockpile and have guy after guy after guy at a lot of the big power programs, and especially like that next level down from say like the top 7. Power 5 schools are not going to be dominant because kids are going to fucking bolt.
I don't think it matters because football is popular and that's the second division of football and people will watch the second division, right? So I don't think it really matters on that front. But from a college basketball standpoint, I do think it's a sport that translates that you're going to lose the best talent to minor league basketball. It's inevitable. It should happen overnight, but it's slowly grinding towards the minor leagues, the G leagues, taking the best talent. And I think there's a level of, oh, you root for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. Okay, that's great, but is there I think your expectations? I don't think Duke fans are dug in and watching every Duke game. So I do think that these ravenous fan bases, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan State, North Carolina, we can get some shit done. Yeah, let's go ahead and go out for dinner. Not go out for dinner. Let's go do whatever. I mean, it's a pandemic. I don't know what people are doing, but I don't feel the buzz. Like, I know around here, like I said, I'm gauging it on my corner of the world, but I don't hear a buzz about Gonzaga and Baylor. You're like, oh, it's much more wide open. You think you hear a buzz about Gonzaga and Baylor?
I'm not saying. I was saying on health, I think it's more competitive in terms of being of massive interest. No, not right now.
Therefore, isn't it dying? It's not to say that it can't be saved, but isn't it
dying strong? But dying strong, and I've laid out the case for you. It's going to take a while for people to. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a while for people to realize that Gonzaga and Baylor are basically doing what Kentucky and Duke and Kansas and Michigan State have done for years. That's why they're good. I know it's, they're not household names, but they figured out we need to operate the same way. So how do you get top 25 players? You get them the way Duke does. You get them the way Carolina does. You get them the way Michigan State does.
Which is what?
Which is you got to play the game. There's money being passed around everywhere. It's happening. So Gonzaga they have an NBA draft pick as a freshman in Jalen Suggs, and they're in on Chet Holmberg, who's also from Minnesota, against Duke.
I mean, I listen. I think you got to play the game. If you're not going to have dirt under your nails, you're not going to win in college football or basketball. So I think I agree with you on that front. I do think there's something to be said for, Gonzaga is not an overnight success.
No,
right? It's like last year I was asking people who cover college football nationally, like when Tennessee had like a top 5 class. I'm like, because I had people who cover the recruiting telling me, yeah, Tennessee's paying kids. Like, it's going to come out. It's going to come around. And so I asked national people who go, I don't know what you're asking me if they're paying. I'm not going to go. Why? Yeah. Why would you ask a question and find out? Like when Ole Miss suddenly had a top 5 class, nobody wanted to say, geez, I wonder if Hugh Freeze has got some shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Same thing. Jeremy Pruitt, same thing at Tennessee.
And he did. And LSU,
but Gonzaga's not that. Gonzaga's not that.
I think it's like beyond people's belief that mid-majors like Wichita State or Gonzaga would be doing that sort of stuff. But I'm telling you, it's like, for me, it's like, I don't have
that sort of stuff's going on everywhere.
I don't have proof that they're doing it. I don't. But, it's the analogy to, I mean, it's a weird one, but, it's an analogy to cycling. Lance Armstrong's like, everyone's cheating, but I'm still the best naturally. Like, get the fuck out of here. If you're beating out Duke for players, you're doing what Duke does to get players.
I would agree.
You're not selling on the joys of going to school in Spokane, Washington. And if you're a power out of Waco, Texas, you're doing what you need to do. And I'm not killing them for
it. They've built themselves into a brand that the shoe companies want to promote. And that's what you have to do.
And by the way, one of the greatest things that certain schools have done over the years to build themselves into powers, you go to Canada, in a rare case of Gonzaga, you go to Japan with Rui Hachimura. You mine Africa for African players.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think there's intense competition to get those guys?
Oh,
you think DeMontis Sabonis, when Sabonis picks Gonzaga over Arizona, like Spokane, right? But there's not going to be as much scrutiny when you're going after, a Russian player, and obviously Sabonis' dad is very well known. But that's all. And I'm not I don't begrudge them, but patting some of these schools on the head, like, oh, the little, gritty, gutty school, they're getting the players, like they're getting the players the way everyone else does.
Put up Doug Croft's one about surprise Baylor isn't being investigated yet.
Yeah.
So Baylor, their recruiting has been worse now than it was before. Right? If you look at the rankings.
Yeah.
And I will give Scott True, who I think has been an underrated coach for a long time. He's always been very high on my coach rankings, which has pissed everybody off. Like every year we do our college basketball coach rankings, and I would have Scott True up towards the top. People be like, he does less with more. Well, now he's not getting, guys.
Well, but hold on a second. Because Novak says know their best players are all transfers. Which team are we talking about? Gonzaga or Baylor?
Well, both of them do a good job in that market. That's one of the reasons why K-State is dog shit, because they don't seem to get that you're going to have to, like, this is the new game. You have to be able to recruit transfers.
By the way, what do you think happens on the transfer market?
How
do you think Oregon wins a lot of battles to get transfers?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, come on. Like what? Like, hey, we're gonna do what it takes to get freshmen. Oh shit, there's a guy who averaged 14 points a game and can move right over and be a starter for us. That's worth something.
Well, and with the free transfers now, Gary Parrish has said, like, listen, Kentucky, they're going to sit there, they're going to go get the best one and dones, and then they're going to go, okay, we need a veteran point guard.
Yep.
So we're going to go reach out to this guy through channels, and we'll get this guy, right? That's what the big programs will do, is they'll be able to say, okay, there's this kid who was under the radar at Colorado State who's averaging 22 points and 7 assists, and we didn't think he was going to be this good, but man, he grew 2 inches and his game really blossomed. Let's go get him, and he's going to play point guard for us this year.
There's a kid, AJ Brahma, who just announced he's in transfer portal from Robert Morris, and it's like a fucking feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
Like 25, like what 21 and 10, really? And he's like 21 years old. Oh boy!
But shouldn't it be?
Of course it should. Yes.
And shouldn't the kid have that kind of avenue when coaches can leave whenever?
Yep.
When every other student can just transfer and go wherever they want in the country. You don't like where you're going to college? Duck out and leave. Shouldn't they be able to go wherever?
I'm not mad, and they're not quitting. And Adam and I have talked off the air about it, and I hate glamorizing this guy because it is part of the bit. But Dockich has been all over that guy, Jalen Johnson at Duke. And a lot of the college basketball.
We know what Dockich is.
He quitter. Doing everything in his own self-interest. Cut it out. Coaches do it. Programs do it. Stop villainizing the kids.
Exactly.
That's when that shit is gross. Like, you've made, whether it's Dockich or someone else who's in the media, former coach, you made tons of money off of kids. They're not making money straight up in college. I mean, maybe there's some payments to get them there. In the case of Duke, yeah, who knows? But the way they talk about kids, and it's their camp. Like, fuck off. It's all you guys are all in the same pool. Now, seriously, you're all in the same pool. It's a dirty game. You're all trying to win. The kids and their handlers and their parents have just as much right to be selfish as you. You're selfish as well. Stop.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I don't know if this was an answer to the game is dying. Maybe on the
I think it's dying.
Maybe on the casual fan level. Yes.
Like, not dying like we're not going to be watching college basketball in 5 years. But I do believe that the G League is going to grow to 30 teams. And I believe that the best talent is going to go straight into the G League and into the NBA. And I think that does erode.
But Petro, I still think it's about those regional interests. It's a regional sport, and if you lop off the top 40 guys of every class, all right, well, 41's pretty goddamn good. So now he's the best. And
I agree. It is, and it's not that there's no one thing that's going to do it, right? You're right. But if that knocks it down 2%, and something else knocks it down 2%, like, is it going to go away? I don't think it's going to go away. Like, college baseball has a place, but I think it's trending more towards college baseball than it is college football.
This is a great comment from Coach, Novak, saying Coach K is going to opt out soon. Like, Coach K 2 months ago was one of the guys who was a really strong proponent of let's get out of this. And most people were like, are you sure it's not because, your team's bad? So then when a kid opts out because he's like, I'm going to go to the NBA, this isn't in my best interest. Wait, but Coach K ready to quit? That's cool.
Coach K saying, like, we shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
And then the kid's like, yeah, you're right, Coach K. Well, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Where you going?
Player, quitter. It is hilarious. It really is. Christ. I got a couple of light things to close on. The other night I'm out. I talked about it last night, but I went out to sort of a sports bar in town, totally empty. They have this great TV setup. I'm watching the Golden Knights. I'm watching the Lakers. My girlfriend's crazy, so she loves New Orleans. Oh, it's Fat Tuesday. Let's go do something New Orleans themed. We couldn't get into a restaurant to go hang out, 3-hour wait. So we go to this New Orleans themed bar chain in town, right?
3-hour wait. God damn, really?
Dude, it's ridiculous. Well, I mean, we just bumped up to 35% capacity. So that's the other thing. I mean, no one can get in to begin with. We get a couple of beers, and then we're like, we'll try their New Orleans food. It's going to, it's microwave stuff, whatever. So we got like a cup of gumbo and a cup of red beans and rice, right? We just want to taste it.
If people don't know, Cofield is like a passionate New Orleans fan. Every year he goes to New Orleans. Like him and the SO, they love him some New Orleans.
So that's a good point, Dan. Dan doesn't know how big I am here. Petro saw it. Petro saw it at the steak.
Man, I got a tour of the whole back operation at one of the best steakhouses in Vegas. So
let's do it.
We're all Cofield fans.
Do it, Jacobs. Actually, I have friends there, and then there were a couple of people who were big listeners. But anyway, let's get to the point here. I walk up because, frankly, the bartender was kind of being lazy. Like, there were 4 people in the building. Walk around and fucking ask us if we want some more stuff. So I walk up and I go, we're going to take another round. The guy goes, food or drink? And I blurted out like for a second, I'm like, I guess I'm stupid. And I said to him, I was like, yeah, good point. And then I started walking back to the table and I'm like, food? Like, who walks up and goes, I want another round?
Yeah, he clearly looked at you and went, this guy's a fat ass.
That's the conclusion.
Absolutely.
Was he actually mocking me? Or is he just a weirdo? I think he may have been mocking me.
Oh, I mean, there's a high chance that he's just a moron. I mean, but I think he's a little bit calling you a fat ass. Yeah.
Another round. Yeah, we got like 2 sort of entree things. Yes.
Yeah, all around.
Let's go, Garcon.
He's going for the big tip.
Stupid.
He's going for the big tip. He liked it.
Yes.
I like it.
Pour out that bag of gumbo and microwave it right now. I need a double portion.
Was it good gumbo?
The gumbo was better than the red beans and rice, but I'm an animal, so anything with rice in it. I had rice tonight. I had rice and some crappy chili I made the other day. So,
wow, chili rice, huh?
Why people don't put rice chili on rice?
No. Oh, put chili on rice.
I put the chili on the rice. Yeah, the rice isn't in the chili. No.
I mean, no, I don't. I've never heard of it. And I don't know why that seemed better there for a second.
Yeah.
But I don't get the purpose of putting the chili over. Like, the chili is fine. It does not need an extra ingredient. It did go in the air fryer. I know that. Cofield put it in the air fryer.
I cook both. Yes, I cook the rice and the chili in an air fryer. Yes. Stop.
You cooked a steak in an air fryer. Jacobs is when I was on with Jacobs in Denver.
Dude, it's never ending.
Cooking a steak in an air fryer.
It's fucking daily bit. The best part is Adam Hill was the one who cooked the steak in the air fryer. That's been the running joke, but Jacobs then took it and turned it into attacking me. So now it's a daily attack in some form or fashion. So it's fine.
I'm fine with that. When in doubt, attack Steve.
Exactly. Atkins tea. I actually tried to make Cincinnati chili last week, and they do put it on spaghetti with the cheddar cheese.
It's shit. It's shit. Like, why do you want to copy a bad idea?
Yeah, the bit Dan he'll latch Dan, of course, from Sports Fan Radio Network. I forgot he will latch on to 1 or 2 things, and it's just the same joke every day. Adam and I have had a long-standing fight. Adam Hill and I have had a long-standing fight over me saying I like parades, and he's like, you don't like parades, and he just screams at me. So I like parades.
You love a parade.
Brady did come through with a good I think it was a tweet yesterday. Was it Brady? I didn't get to answer it. That do I want a birthday parade? No. Like a birthday car parade? No. I saw people doing that last year. It was good for kids, right? Didn't you have one for your girls?
My 10-year-old had one. It made her day.
Awesome. Which is awesome. When you're when you're a kid and your birthday and you're going to miss your birthday and not see anyone, it's awesome. So when you're 1,000, I don't need people driving by the house and me, thanks. That parade I will pass on.
Okay.
Yes.
I got it. I feel you. Yeah.
Last one for me. You may have like 10 more topics. How's the weather in Kansas City? Is it like Texas?
Yeah. So we today, I think we may have gotten above 15 for the first time in 11 days.
Really?
So I think we're going to go more than 2 weeks below 32 degrees. We have not gotten above 32 degrees. Yes. And we have had the rolling blackouts.
Oh, really?
So they announced on, what is today? Today's Wednesday. So on Monday, they said, hey, rolling blackouts are going to start at 12:15. And at 12:15, I'm on the gear with the guys, and my shit goes down.
Oh boy.
I went and did the show Monday from the station.
You did?
Yeah, I've had to do it. It's like I think the third time since the pandemic started that I've had to go in and do it.
Is this the streak, or is he talking about the weather?
He's talking about the weather, I think.
The Seren streak of not being in the building. Wow.
No, but I've been in there a couple times before. It had been a while though.
It's 3 times in 11 months. There's some streaks in there.
Yeah. I'll go up there and grab this or that, after hours or whatever. But from a weather standpoint, yeah, it's been ridiculous. And it literally feels like it's been snowing for 2 weeks. Because even when it's not a full-on snow, because we got another like inch and a half today, even when it's not a full-on snow, there's like flurries in the air. And so, yeah, it's been a stretch. It's been a stretch. Schools were closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday around here. Listen, we had a morning that it was negative, where I'm at 14, supposedly not far from us, negative 23 at 7 a.m. I mean, it's like Canada cold. And so, like, are we prepared for that? Yeah, more so because we have winters, but Texas, dude, it's like ridiculous. That's like, honestly, if you work outside, it's a mother. If like you just stay inside and you jump in your car and run to the store and in and out, it like you can deal with it. And we have plows and trucks, and so our roads are not like, I've seen like Texas, they like no plows, no salt, no nothing.
They're not rolling blackouts. They're just pulling the plug. They're like, sorry, we're not going to lose money on this private power company now. We're not losing money.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have privatized power. I mean, I think here it was supposed to be like 30 to 90 minutes or something. I think we were like an hour 15. I think some people have been like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And by the way, there were some people like, oh, the power's been out for 3 hours. I'm like, what happened to like being able to sit and be like, the power's been out for like 6 months for a homeless guy, right? And you got 3 hours, and you're like, I didn't even get my phone charged. It's bullshit. Could we at some point, I grew up my whole life like, hey, you didn't eat your dinner. Like, there are kids in Africa that, are starving. So eat. So that's why I'm fat. I blame my mom for telling me, like, eat the food. The kids are, other kids are starving. Like, that was my whole upbringing, is like, you're bitching? Shut up. People have it worse. And now, like, we have 5 minutes of any kind of, like, it's not perfect for me. Holy shit. I mean, it's unreal. It's unbelievable. Like, we're like the country has become a bunch of whiny bitches.
Well, we talked about this last night, but I'll get your reaction.
I mean, the people and I'm not talking about Texas.
Yeah.
I'm talking about whining, like when you have a rolling blackout and you're out an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Like, you know what? Like, Texas has been for 3 days. Right. No power. That's real. And I know there's services. People are dying in Texas. My wife does. They literally are. I think it's 20 some odd people. Yeah. And my wife does. She's a healthcare worker, and she does telemedicine, where her job, through video, she helps people that have to have their homes remodeled, that have been through like a stroke or different things like that. Every appointment's been canceled. Right. So there are people that need services and they can't get the services. Right. She's one of the services, and they're all canceled because people can't get to them. I mean, it's serious shit in Texas.
The other part of this is this comment: the self-centered whiny bitches. They're not all whiny bitches. There are people who are really in trouble, but it is fascinating that there are many that are. There are a lot of people who will dole out stuff like this, like other states aren't tough, we're tough, and then they're the first ones to complain. Like, see, I guess it's not that easy, is it? So
yeah.
The fucking attacks on other states. And I'm not saying it was all Texas. I mean, but there is, there's a good 35-40% of Texas where they're puffing out their chest all the time and fuck California. And, I brought up my home state, a lot of the politicians don't represent all the people on the ground, obviously. But I brought it up, people, there were Texas legislators who were like, oh, New Jersey got killed by Sandy, the superstorm. Nah, fucking, we're not going to vote for money for them. And it's like, then we're all sitting here, we're like, well, fuck you now. And this is all awful. Like, other states turning on each other, like looking for retribution. It's just,
no, but we're patriots because we wave a flag.
I don't like it.
I mean, I'll say it. I'll say it. Like, there's a lot of people that think they're some big, great American because they will wave a flag around, but when it comes time to help anyone around them, they ain't got shit. They ain't got 5 minutes. That's being a patriot is helping people that need help in your country. The country's made up of people, and if you're watching people suffer and you're laughing at them, you're mocking them, or whatever, because you own an American flag, that does not make you a great patriot.
Well, it's also a problem I have with some people who say they're, people of faith, and then when times turn tough and, they can help someone, they're like, fuck them.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
So disappointing. And like you said, I have friends in Texas, and yeah, it sucks, man. It's rough. It's real rough.
It sucks. Like I said, my wife does, her company that she works for does a lot of business down there and dealing with the people that she works with, that's tough on them. And of course, all the patients that they are not seeing right now, it's bullshit. And, I said this, the rolling blackout, and we have lots of listeners that work for the power company here and guys that are on the line and everything. And they're great folks. And I know a lot of them personally, different guys. And I know, coming over to my house, one time we had an issue and they're outside and it's, 16 degrees and they're coming over to help us out. Like, I have immense respect for anybody and everybody who works outside on the front lines in anything, 100%. And it's not those workers, but like, I will say this, it gets cold for 2 fucking weeks and we got to turn the power off to just keep the system up and running. Like, can we all agree the system's shit? Like, we're tied into like a 16-state grid.
Yeah.
It's cold for 2 weeks, and we're like, what are we going to do? Holy shit. Everybody's got to go without power for an hour. And I can go without power for an hour, and I'm fine. And we did. And, I'm like, got it. Like, okay, we'll do what we got to do. But, like, can we stop, like, trying to be the most profitable son of a bitch to where we're running to where a 2% or a 5% hit to what is normal shuts us down? You've got to be shitting me.
Yes. It is time to upgrade. Yes. Invest some money.
Don't even get me started on I don't have solar, and like, I'll give you just a peek under my covers on this one. Like, nuclear power, let's go. Like, stop. Like, I'm an independent, for anyone who doesn't know. There are times that I'm going to sound like a Democrat. There are times I'm going to sound like a Republican, but holding up nuclear power, it is not Chernobyl. Okay. That is not what every nuclear power plant is. And there's so many people that like, on whatever side they're on, like, Jesus Christ, let's go. Come on. Like, it's not that hard.
Would you like to get?
I don't think so. And I like me some NASCAR, so
Well, why not? Give a couple of pops. I mentioned Justin Watkins earlier. I mentioned Dustin DeHart from Nova Home Loans.
I mean, I don't know, where do I start?
All
of the decks. Robert Brogdon Buick GMC, Worth Harley Davidson North, Good Sense, Jazz Louisiana Kitchen, Joe's Kansas City Barbecue. All great sponsors. They're all great KC companies that support us. Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. I got to throw some love at them. KC guy absolutely took, like, I thought I was going to have to replace carpet 3 different times, and they've come in and made it look absolutely brand new. Italian Delight, sure. But our boy, Renee.
By the way, Renee, you're never in on Mondays, but we throw a little Italian Delight up here. We got him on the bottom, a Smarter Than You podcast. Got to watch on Mondays. I'm giving you a pop.
Renee has promised to teach my kids to throw pizza dough.
Oh, love it.
And we are waiting for the pandemic to be over, and then we're going over, and I'm expecting them on a slow afternoon, like when the lunch rush, bogs down. My daughters want to learn how to throw pizza dough. Renee can throw the pizza in the air and do all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Hey, for the sponsors, thank you. This equipment doesn't buy itself.
That's right. Corona. Have yourself a Corona Premier, Corona Hard Seltzer. Nothing but good times, man. No, listen, we have great sponsors, and the sponsors are invested in us, and we're invested in them. And so, Yeah, bring it on. Let's go.
Yep. We're gonna have a lot more video capability soon. Ari's gonna get a nice laptop in studio. That'll be cool. So,
wow,
coming, baby, it's coming.
big time.
Yes, well, sort of. We're trying. All right, everybody. Appreciate the compliments towards the end, and we're back tomorrow. Justin Watkins is in, and the aforementioned, I think Dan Jacobs is in. I don't know what Adam's doing. He's busy tomorrow night, so he's got something going on. So, whatever. Selfish bastard. We'll see you guys.